So today we're going to be scoring a free 4 marks using chain rule, and this question says if f of x is the composite function of f and g of 2 minus x, which means that f of x is equal to f of g of 2 minus x. Okay. Evaluate f prime of 3 given the values, and we have our given function values. So before I get into this question, I want to look at f of x is equal to 2x squared. And I told you to take the derivative of this function, and you told me, well, f prime of x is equal to 4x using the power rule. And I said, okay, fair enough. But what if I convinced you that every time we use the power rule, we're just using the simplified version of the chain rule? Okay? So let's go to the right hand side, and I'm going to say, well, 2x squared can just be written as 2 into x all squared. Okay, that's the same thing. And I said, well, I want x to be u. Okay? So then I'm going to say, well, therefore, u prime with respect to x is just going to be 1. Okay? So now let's take the derivative of 2 into x all squared using the chain rule. So by chain rule, it says multiply the exponent to the front, so that's going to be 4. They tell me to leave whatever's in the bracket alone, so I'm going to do just that. And they also tell me to minus 1 from the exponent, so that's going to be 1. Then by chain rule, they also want the derivative of the inside, and we know that the derivative of the inside of the bracket is just going to be 1. So if I simplify this, well, I'm just going to get that this is going to be 4x. And notice that these two are the exact same. So notice that every time we use the power rule, it's just a simplified version of the chain rule. So let me just get rid of all of this. So that was, well, I'd say a relatively easy example of the chain rule. But that's what we're going to need in order to solve this question. So firstly, let's write down what we have. So we have that this big F of x is equal to f of g of 2 minus x. That's 2 brackets. Okay. So what do we want? We want f prime of 3. Okay. So let's take the f prime of x, okay, as a first step. Now if I do that using the chain rule, I'm going to take the derivative of the outside function, and I'm going to keep multiplying it by the derivative of what's inside the bracket. So if I keep doing that, this is going to be g prime of 2 minus x, and this is going to be multiplied by the derivative of inside the bracket, so this is just going to be minus 1. So as you can see, I keep taking the derivative of whatever's inside the bracket, which kind of forms like a chain. You can think of it as like a chain letter or something of that sort. Okay? So with chain rule, we just have to keep in mind that every time we take the derivative of something, we multiply by the derivative of inside the bracket. Okay? So we don't want f of x though, we want f prime of 3. So let's sub in 3 wherever we see an x. So this is going to be 2 minus 3 multiplied by g prime of 2 minus 3 multiplied by negative 1. This is going to be I'm going to copy down f prime, and g of 2 minus 3, that's going to be g of minus 1. Okay, and this is also going to be minus 1, and multiplied by minus 1. So now let's think about g prime, or not g prime, g of minus 1, because that's what we have inside of our bracket. So we're going to copy down f prime once again, and we're going to evaluate whatever's inside of f prime. So in this case, g of minus 1. And if we go to our information, we notice that we have g of minus 1 is 0. So we can just say that's 0, multiplied by g prime of minus 1. So now again, if we go to our information, we have g prime of minus 1 is going to be 2. So that's 2. And then multiplied by minus 1. Now once more, if we go to our information, we have that f prime of 0 is just going to be minus half. So we can copy that down, multiplied by 2, multiplied by negative 1, and simplifying this multiplies into that and gives me minus 2 over 2, multiplied by minus 1, and that's just going to be 1. So the value of f prime of 3 using advanced chain rule, and well, not really advanced chain rule, is pretty basic. It's just that you have to think about what really the chain rule is. It just goes as a chain. So you take the derivative, then derive the bracket, then derive the bracket, then derive the bracket, and you keep going until there's no bracket left. As you can see, the last value is minus 1. Okay, so the f prime of 3, well, just using chain rule and our given values, is just going to be 1. So this is our final answer.